As business leaders, we tend to get obsessed with the moment of purchase, that click, that tap, the final transaction. But what if the most valuable parts of the customer experience happen completely outside of that single moment? We're going to take a look at the entire consumption journey and really uncover how to create value long before the sale and, just as importantly, long after.
So, let's start with a really fundamental question. When does the customer experience actually begin? I mean, really? Is it when they open the box? The first time they use the product? Well, the answer might surprise you. That journey, that experience, it often kicks off way before a customer even lays a hand on your product. So we're going to break this whole journey down into 3 key acts. First up is the waiting game, and that's all about building anticipation. Then we'll dive into first touch and beyond, which is, the core interaction with the product. And finally, we'll look at the final act, a surprisingly critical stage that, frankly, most companies completely ignore.
Okay, let's get into Act 1, the waiting game. Now, this isn't just dead time, the period before a package shows up. It is a strategic window of opportunity where you can build an incredible amount of value all through the power of anticipation.
And here's the core idea. By building excitement before the product even arrives, you're actually stretching out the positive experience in the customer's mind. Their journey with your brand doesn't start with the delivery. It starts the moment they begin looking forward to it.
And if you look around, some of the world's biggest brands are absolute masters of this. Just think about Apple's keynotes, right? They whip up a frenzy for months. Or look at Hollywood, teasing a blockbuster movie sometimes years before it hits theaters. And of course, there's Bloomsbury, the publisher that turned every single Harry Potter release into a massive, can't-miss global event. So, did all that anticipation work for Harry Potter? Well, on day 1, the final book sold nearly all 12 million of its initial copies. That's not just marketing hype. That is the direct, tangible result of mastering the art of anticipation. Just incredible.
Now, what's fascinating is that this seems to completely fly in the face of a classic economic idea called temporal discounting. It's actually a pretty simple concept. Our brains are just wired to value things we can have right now more than things we have to wait for. We'll literally pay a premium for instant gratification.
So if you follow that logic, it seems pretty obvious. You'd always pay top dollar for something you could get immediately, wouldn't you? But it turns out our brains are just a little bit trickier than that.
Okay, now check this out. This study just turns that whole idea right on its head. When people were asked how much they'd be willing to pay for a kiss from their favorite celebrity, look at these results. They were willing to pay the most for a kiss that was happening in 3 days, more than for one happening right now. Why? Because the pleasure of looking forward to it, of anticipating it, was so powerful that it actually became more valuable than getting the thing instantly. The wait itself had value.
All right, let's move on to Act 2. The anticipation is over. The product is finally in the customer's hands. This is the core experience, that first touch, and everything that comes after.
I know we've all heard this saying a million times, but in the world of customer experience, it is absolutely everything. That very first interaction creates this powerful mental anchor. It sets the tone, and it frames how the customer is going to judge every single thing that follows.
And you have to remember, that first impression isn't just one single moment. It's really a chain of events. It's the delivery, it's the unboxing, it's the setup, and of course, it's that very first use. Every single link in that chain has to be strong. The best companies, they are absolutely obsessive about this. You've got Amazon, who basically declared war on wrap rage with their frustration-free packaging. Sonos managed to take the absolute nightmare out of setting up complex home audio systems. Breville designs its kitchen appliances to be so intuitive that you can just toss the manual aside. And then there's Apple, who somehow turned the simple act of opening a box into this celebrated sensory ritual.
And this famous quote from Steve Jobs just sums up that entire philosophy perfectly. For Apple, the box isn't just some cardboard container, it's designed as an extension of the product itself. I mean, they have a dedicated team whose only job is to make sure that unboxing experience is just as sleek, functional, and delightful as the device inside.
Now, once someone actually starts using a product, they get 2 different kinds of value from it. You can think of it as head versus heart. The head value is utilitarian. That's the functional stuff, the speed, the power of a computer, and our familiarity with that actually increases over time. We get better at using it. But the heart value, that's hedonic, the pure enjoyment, the delight it brings. And the problem here is that this feeling tends to fade as we get used to it. It's a psychological principle called habituation.
So when you think about it that way, the strategic goal for managing the long-term experience becomes crystal clear. For those head benefits, your job is to make new, complex things feel familiar and easy to learn.
And for the heart benefits, your job is to make familiar things feel new again. It's all about fighting that inevitable boredom and keeping the magic alive over time.
But hold on, the journey still isn't over when the customer stops using the product. We now enter Act 3, the final act. This is all about the end of the product's life, and it is a huge and almost completely ignored opportunity to build incredible loyalty.
I mean, just think about the last time you had to get rid of an old mattress or an old refrigerator. It's a total headache, right? What do you even do with it? Or that old phone sitting in your drawer, is it worth anything? And how do you get rid of all this stuff without feeling guilty about just throwing it in a landfill? These are serious, nagging pain points for customers.
Well, the really smart companies, they turn that pain into a competitive advantage. When you buy a new fridge from Best Buy, they don't just drop it off on your curb. They offer to haul the old, heavy one away. They've transformed a major hassle into a seamless, valuable service.
And what about that old phone? Well, Apple's trade-in program is just genius. It directly answers that question. Is this thing worth anything? It gives customers real monetary value for their old device, which makes the decision to upgrade to a new one feel like a really smart financial move.
And for that sustainability question, just look at Nespresso. They know their customers care about the waste from all those coffee pods, so they provide free recycling bags and make it completely effortless for you to do the right thing. They even partnered with a company to turn that recycled aluminum into these really sleek bicycles. It's brilliant.
So when you zoom out, here's the big picture. Managing the customer experience means managing the entire journey, from the thrill of waiting for the product to arrive to the magic of that first use, all the way to a smart, simple, and responsible ending. Every single one of these stages is an opportunity to create value and build a stronger, more lasting relationship. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you map out your own customer's journey, where is that hidden point of friction that you've just never thought about? Where is that moment of anticipation that you could be amplifying? Where, in that entire process, from beginning to end, is your biggest untapped opportunity just sitting there, waiting for you to find it?